I'm attorney Wayne Gill with the Gill Law Firm. And I want to talk to you today about the O-1 Extraordinary Ability Visa. Now, the O-1 can typically be obtained in one of two categories: an O-1A, which is in the area of sciences, education, business, or athletics, or an O-1B in the area of the arts. Today, we're going to talk about the O-1A. We'll come back on a future video and we'll talk about the O-1B visa. And so to qualify for an O-1A visa, the very first requirement is to have an employer who's willing to sponsor you. And so you're going to have an employment contract or an employment agreement, or an agent who can serve as an employer, or if not an agent, then a sponsoring organization that's willing to sponsor you to come to the United States to participate in an event or an engagement or a series of events and engagements. And so that is the first part of the requirement. The second big part is to demonstrate that you are a person of extraordinary ability in your area of practice. And in order to do so, the easiest way to do that is to prove that you have obtained an award that is of international or national significance, such as a Nobel Peace Prize or a Pulitzer Award. And if you can provide one of those, or if you're in the O-1B category, a Grammy or an Academy Award or an award of that caliber, then you are almost certainly to be qualified for the O-1A or the O-1B visa. But let's say that you do not have such an award. And, you know, this is one of the things that I think may scare some people from trying for an O-1 visa, the fact that they do not have such an award. And this award is often referred to as a genius award. And so we believe we've got to be a genius. We've got to literally be Albert Einstein to get this visa. And it's not true at all, because there are some lesser categories that you can qualify for in order to obtain the award, the visa. And so in the case of an O-1A visa, there are 8 particular criteria that must be met, but you only have to meet 3 of the 8 criteria, at least 3. You can meet more, but you've got to meet 3 of 8 criteria in order to qualify. And that's where I would start if I were you and I was considering one of these visas, and assuming that you have an employer, an agent, or a sponsor, then you need to qualify under at least 3 of these 8 particular categories. So let's run through those right now. Category number 1, awards and prizes of international or national significance, which can be less than a Nobel Peace Prize or less than a Grammy Award, right? But it has to be an award that's of significant national significance, right? And so that is category number 1. And you have to provide documentary evidence of that in the form of a certificate, in the form of a membership, in the form of some documentary evidence that proves that you won this highly selective national or international award. That's criteria number 1. Criteria number 2 is membership in a distinguished organization. And that would mean that it's membership in an organization that has really high requirements for membership. Now, we're all members of certain organizations, but some of those organizations just require you paying a fee, right? And you become a member. The government is not talking about those kind of memberships. It has to be membership in an organization that has really high selection criteria, where you can prove that by virtue of your extraordinary abilities, you've been invited in, or you've qualified to be in, or you've met the criteria of being a member of such organizations. That's number 2. Number 3 is you can demonstrate your extraordinary ability by virtue of coverage that you've received in major publications or in trade magazines that cover your industry that are about you. Now, what happens is sometimes we see articles that may mention a particular person who's applying, but mere mentions won't cut it. The articles really need to be about you, and particularly about your extraordinary abilities and about your skills. So if you're an athlete, it should be how you won the game, or how you were MVP of the season, or about some extraordinary thing that you did. Or if you're a business executive, the same thing, that how you impacted bottom line of the company or of your industry, or in some material and serious way. and you have to provide documentary evidence of that. So that was number 3, publications. Number 4, you can demonstrate that you have worked as a judge of the work of others in your field or on a panel judging the work of others in your field. Because again, if you've been selected by your peers to be a judge over others, it demonstrates that you have a certain level of expertise and notoriety in your field of endeavor. That's number 4. And number 5 is you can prove that you have original contributions in your area of expertise. And we have many clients that have been able to do this. That's shown that by virtue of something they published, something they invented, a process they came up with, something that they added that was a significant contribution to their industry or to their organization, that was a game changer. Number 6 would be your authorship of a scholarly article or a series of articles or publications or a book or some scholarly article that you crafted that demonstrates your level of extraordinary ability in your given area. Number 7 would be demonstrating that you have played a critical or essential part in an organization or someplace where you've been employed or someplace where you've been able to demonstrate your extraordinary abilities to the bottom line or to an outcome or to the notoriety of the organization that you're serving. And number 8 would be demonstrating your high remuneration or high compensation. That could be in the form of salary, it could be in the form of stocks or ownership or significant financial impact that you've made on the bottom line of an organization or that you've been able to command by virtue of who you are. And then finally, you're also able to provide comparative evidence or comparable evidence if you find that you have certain qualifications that don't fit easily in one of these 8 buckets that I've described. And so the government will allow you to prove in a comparative basis how what you've done can actually fit in one of these categories. But ultimately, in order to get this visa, you're going to have to prove that you have an employment, you have sponsorship, or you have an agent that's representing you to come to the United States. And then you're going to have to prove that you qualify in at least 3 of these 8 criteria that I mentioned here today. But if you can do that, then you're definitely a viable candidate for an O-1A visa. And as I said earlier, many people shy away from this because they believe that in order to do it, you really do have to be a genius or you have to be so extraordinary that it's virtually impossible, but that's not true. It's really just being able to provide documentary evidence of your accomplishments in at least 3 of these 8 criteria that I've mentioned here today. And if you can do that, then your chances of being able to qualify for this visa are as good as anyone else who's ever tried to qualify. And if you'd like to talk about this some more, please hit us up in the comments or reach out to us, and we'd love to get into it in further depth. But I hope that this video has been instructive to you and helpful to you, and will give you confidence in believing that you too can qualify for the O-1 visa. Thank you, and I'll see you on the next video.